This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
I'm here today to say to each and every person affected by this breach, I'm truly and deeply sorry for what happened.
The CEO of Equifax apologizes for the data breach. Our personal information is out there for anyone to see. What does this mean to all of us? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on the Equifax data breach in a bit, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. We barely got a drop of rain from Hurricane Nate. So what's with the flooding? A busy intersection near Sarasota's Bayfront was flooded and could flood again. Blame it on king tides when the sun and moon align just right. Typical this time of year. A lot worse when there is a hurricane in the Gulf.
It was really only about half a foot above where it was, like, say, a week ago across much of the Gulf Coast. But with the presence of Nate over the central Gulf, we had elevated water levels about an additional foot on top of that.
The tide is just right as high when it was over the weekend, but with Nate gone, so are the winds whipping up the water. Hurricane Nate marks the 9th hurricane of the season, officially making 2017 one of the worst storm seasons on record. There have been 15 named storms so far this year, 4 of them turning into major hurricanes. The National Weather Service attributes the active season to warmer water temperatures and the lack of wind shear. It says when the warm water combined with favorable winds are perfect recipe for tropical storms. The death toll at the Florida nursing home where Hurricane Irma knocked out power has climbed to 14. 2 elderly women died today. Both were residents of the rehabilitation center at Hollywood Hills, which state officials say failed to evacuate patients days after the storm. Police are treating the deaths as part of their criminal investigation into what happened at the facility. There's a new bill in the Florida legislature to prevent lengthy air conditioning outages at nursing homes and assisted living facilities. The bill would require nursing homes and assisted living facilities to have emergency power sources and fuel supplies that would last at least 4 days. To meet that requirement, facilities could store generators and fuel on the site or contract with companies that could provide them in a timely manner.
Some nursing homes are very Medicaid heavy, and those are the ones that we as a state have to find the resources and the monies to make sure that we get them to that point so they can have the generators and the adequate cooling mechanisms to take care of them. And that's going to have to be incumbent upon the House and the Senate to work together to find those dollars to ensure that they have that available.
Governor Rick Scott's administration issued emergency rules last month aimed at requiring facilities to install generators that could power air conditioning systems within 60 days. Governor Scott is ordering the suspension of all fees required for occupational licenses for residents of Puerto Rico impacted by Hurricane Maria and now living in Florida. This includes over 50 different professional license types like barbers and realtors. This will help those who came from Puerto Rico begin working as soon as possible. The wife of musician Dickie Betts of the Allman Brothers is serving 30 days in the county jail. Donna Betts accepted a plea deal on charges of aggravated assault. She will also be on probation for 54 months and pay restitution. She was arrested in March after pointing a rifle at members of the Sarasota Crew rowing team. After the mass shooting in Las Vegas, medical professionals on the Suncoast are working to educate people firsthand on first aid procedures. They're teaching the public steps to keep someone alive until first responders arrive. According to the Florida Department of Health, rapid loss of 1 liter of blood can be fatal. The procedures can be used on other emergency situations.
Because even if it's not an active shooter, if you have a child and a child gets cut badly or has spurting blood, that's just as big of an emergency to that family as a mass shooting is for many, many people.
First responders say CPR is still something everyone should know how to do. So, Bob, what is the weather this week?
Well, you know, we're drier, in fact, as a result of some dry air moving in from the south, and it looks as though we'll see limited showers and a few thunderstorms, not out of the question, but really quite quiet out there. Here's a look, though. We've had a few light rain showers this evening pushing on through. The activity seems to be a little stronger to our north, where there have been some lightning strikes in Pasco County. You can see one lone shower now off of Longboat Key pushing away from the coast out into the Gulf. That is just offshore of Anna Maria Island. It already has moved through parts of Braden and Palmetto. And then there's some rain near St. Petersburg, also near Bloomingdale, just to the east, and one lone shower there. And up near MacDill Air Force Base, a little bit of rainfall, but not a lot. Currently, we have just a few clouds, 83, the dew point high at 78, and the pressure is on the rise, 29.95 inches. Temperatures across the region into the low to mid 80s, even some upper 80s still at this hour. In Punta Gorda, it's 87. The Gulf water temperature still a warm 86 degrees right now, and 84 into Venice. Well, in the tropics, we have another tropical storm. It's out there. Its name is Ophelia. It's just under the ABC on the right-hand side of your screen, right there by First Alert Weather. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. We're also watching that wave just to the northeast of San Juan. And you mentioned the tide levels. They're back now down to near normal. This is the tide chart. The red line indicates the actual tide. The blue line is the projected tide. And you can see it's slightly above it now. It's running about a half foot above average over the weekend. I know on Saturday evening and Sunday it was about 1.5 feet to 2 feet above average as a result of the king tides because of the full moon and the fact we had Nate in the Gulf.
Thus the local flooding.
You got it.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, the Equifax data breach. Our personal information is out there. What can we do? We'll tell you after the break.
Invest in Kids is a $7.5 million project to build a new Boys and Girls Club in South Manatee County. I'm Caleb Grimes, and I was a club kid. It's where I learned important life lessons, leadership, integrity, responsibility, and baseball. Thousands of kids attend the Boys and Girls Clubs, and after years of use, their club is slowly falling apart. Help us invest in kids. Make your donation today.
Attention, Americans eligible for Medicare. Are you getting all the benefits you're entitled to? Did you know there may be money available to lower your medical prescription costs? Call Health Markets and we'll tell you if you qualify.
Hi, I'm Dr. Martin Jeetsi. It's a new Medicare year. That means more changes and more confusion. The key question is, what can you do now to ensure you get the care you need in the coming year?
Call Health Markets today. You may qualify to save money on prescriptions. We'll help you find plans that may cost less, cover more, and could even lower your prescription costs to increase your savings. We help you find all the benefits you're entitled to, and we do it at no cost.
Make sure you have what you need to get the care that's right for you.
Find out if you qualify to receive extra help with your prescriptions. Call the number on the screen now. Representatives are standing by.
If anyone depends on you, listen to this important message. 3 out of 4 Americans know they need life insurance, and many who have it know they don't have enough. Sound like you? How would your family get by without you? Would they lose their home or their dreams of a good education? They don't have to. You can guarantee those you love $200,000, $500,000, $750,000 or more with life insurance through AIG Direct. We're part of AIG, one of the world's largest insurance organizations, and we'll help you get more for your money, up to 70% more. Just look, less than $14 a month buys a 40-year-old man a $250,000 term life policy. That's up to 3 times what you can get from other companies for the same price. No wonder millions of people worldwide rely on AIG companies. The call is free, the quote is free, and there's no obligation. Get the protection your family needs through AIG Direct, a leader in insurance.
For a free quote, call 1-800-620-6355. That's 1-800-620-6355.
ABC7 News at 7, weeknights.
We have had so many distractions lately, from the Las Vegas massacre to Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria, that a lot of us have not spent a lot of time thinking about the Equifax data breach. If you haven't, you should. Haley Wilgus explains why.
We put our trust in corporations every time we apply for a loan or open a new account, even just log in to check our credit. But our personal information is at risk. This past summer, the largest data breach in U.S. history hit Equifax. So how did it happen? Former CEO Richard Smith testified before Congress last week with his version of the story.
The criminal hack happened on my watch, and as CEO, I am ultimately responsible, and I take full responsibility.
Former Equifax CEO Richard Smith says on March 8th, a cybersecurity arm of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security informed the company of a flaw in a web tool called Apache Struts. The company uses it to support its online dispute portal, where consumers go to contest information about their credit reports. The very next day, Equifax says it sent an internal memo that a patch was available, and Smith says one specific employee failed to communicate to the IT department that the patch needed to be deployed.
We know now that this criminal attack was made possible because of a combination of human error and technological error.
That technological error happened on March 15th, when Equifax's scanning system did not pick up the vulnerability in the Struts software. Why that happened is still being investigated. Those two things combined allowed hackers to gain access to the personal information of millions of customers between May 13th and July 30th. Names, social security numbers, birth dates, addresses, and some driver's license numbers.
I'm here today to say to each and every person affected by this breach, I'm truly and deeply sorry for what happened.
Smith testified that Equifax has spent $250 million over the past 3 years on beefing up its data security, going from no cybersecurity staff when he became CEO to a 225-member team. But Equifax continues to face criticism for its handling of the breach and its aftermath, sending customers to a website that many said did not accurately tell them if their information was compromised.
In the rollout of our remediation program, mistakes were made, for which, again, I deeply apologize. I regret the frustration that many Americans felt when our websites and call centers were overwhelmed in the early days.
Every day we wake up and there's another data breach. And I don't know about you, but I'm fed up with this.
Consumer watchdog Jerry Zivick says he's skeptical about the free service Equifax is offering to customers starting in January of 2018.
They're coming out with this new product where you're going to be able to unlock and lock your account at will. Now, who in their right mind would think that you could trust Equifax to do this? They have not demonstrated the technical savvy to do this.
So what can we do as consumers to protect ourselves? There's one simple thing you can do today.
On our own personal level, there's very little we can do, but what we can do and what we don't do is we need to change our passwords.
Zivick also says you should file your tax return as soon as possible so that someone who may have stolen your information doesn't beat you to it, and do what you can to protect your credit.
You have to do a credit freeze. And a lot of companies will pay every time you freeze and unfreeze your account, but if you want to protect yourself, that to me is the only way to do that.
A small investment that could pay dividends when it comes to keeping your identity and your money safe. Haley Wilgus, ABC7, your Suncoast News.
In the moment, an impressive panel of experts explains how this happened and what you need to do. The trapezoid is next.
40 million. That's the number of free phones still available and the number of how many Americans can still get prescriptions free.
Free could be wonderful.
That's why I'm still working at 77 years old to pay off my prescriptions.
I needed to have a prescription filled and I had to leave because I couldn't afford it.
Call now and see what's available for you. Free prescriptions. Over 10 million people get prescriptions free, and the program has expanded so another 40 million can. Free dental. Over 15,000 dentists have provided over $330 million in free dental work. Free cell phones. 40 million free cell phones are still available with free minutes and more.
Free cell phone would change my life right now because it is something I cannot afford to get.
Medical supplies like back braces, knee braces, and diabetic supplies may be covered too. The free RX Plus hotline has saved callers over $12 million on their prescription costs. These free programs are now available to 40 million more people. Call now.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. The IRS is cracking down on those who owe back taxes. They send out devastating letters, garnish paychecks, and even put liens on your home or business. You may have heard of it. It's called enforced compliance. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. who will negotiate with the IRS on your behalf. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms and can negotiate a tax settlement with the IRS. It's that simple. And if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars, finally ending your financial stress. Now is the time for a fresh start. Now is the time to call Tax 10,000. 800-699-3188. That's 800-699-3188. Call now.
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the Creative Galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Each one of our journeys keeps us before you throw it away.
Hey, I have an idea.
Think outside the box.
We'll never get older. Each one. Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
Welcome back. It's been such a busy hurricane season. The most damaging storm may be the one that you paid the least attention to until now, the Equifax data breach, which one analyst at the Barracuda Networks described as like a Category 5 hurricane in the cyber world. The analyst going on to say the lasting impacts of the breach will go on for years. 145 million Americans, 44% of the U.S. population, could be impacted by their Social Security numbers, birth dates, driver's licenses, and credit card information being exposed. Joining us to talk about what this means are Jeff Birnbach, Managing Director of Sarasota-based silent and internationally recognized cybersecurity firm, Shane Hartman, a cybersecurity specialist and adjunct professor at USF Sarasota Manatee, and Jerry Zivick, our own ABC7 consumer watchdog. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight. And Jeff and Shane, let me start with you, because what was incredible in Haley's story was one person at one company screwing up is causing this. How does this happen in a corporate level, especially at a company like this, which has so much sensitive information?
Well, I think at this point the investigation is still somewhat ongoing. The firm they hired, Mandiant, hasn't really made public their full findings as far as I know. So a lot of pieces are still coming together. But we did see through the testimony of Mr. Smith and some other pieces that have been made public that it appears it wasn't just one individual error, but a series of small missteps that may have caused this to occur.
Shane, from what we saw there, it is somebody not getting the right notification about a patch for something that needs to be corrected. We get these things all the time at home. It seems incredible to me on a corporate level that this was missed.
Well, I'm sure there's some communication errors that had occurred throughout that, and like you said, a corporation is going to get many of these type of notifications, but it's their job to actually try to mitigate this and put the right ones in place. It doesn't mean that they will be able to apply one as soon as it comes out, but they should be proactive and start working on them as soon as they become aware of them.
Jerry, I don't know if you can answer this, but I'll ask it anyway. Are we already seeing people's information being compromised and basically becoming victims of this?
Yes, actually, just today I learned of a gentleman who somebody took out a mortgage or was trying to take out a mortgage in his name, and he called up and said, how can this happen? And he was told it was Equifax. How they actually know it's Equifax, I have no idea.
That's just incredible. Jeff, how many companies out there, you deal with these corporations, how many of them are becoming proactive in terms of protecting their networks, especially the most sensitive parts of their networks?
We're seeing companies become more proactive than we had in the past. Unfortunately, most firms are still very reactive. As I said to you earlier, many people put a burglar alarm system in after they've been robbed, not before. So companies are starting to pay attention to this. They're recognizing, even at the board level, that this is really an important element that could impact their stock value, their reputational brand, a number of different aspects that impact their valuations.
Is there any kind of law, federal or statewide, that mandates companies that basically hold your personal information have to have secure computer networks?
There are laws out there, but they're kind of a hodgepodge. They're usually dictated via the state versus something federal. For California may have something that says you need to encrypt your things, but North Carolina doesn't. So where your data lies or where that may be is one of those things that's a key component of these types of actions.
Is there any effort on the federal level to mandate that this be done nationwide for a certain category of business?
There has been some discussion. Right now, there are 47 different state notification laws throughout the United States.
And Elizabeth Warren introduced some legislation. It's basically a consumer protection law for all your data. And several other senators are introducing legislation to protect us, to have some sort of responsibility on the part of the parties that are just taking our data. We're never opting in on this. This is just taken from us.
Is it getting any traction in Congress?
I think it will get some traction in Congress. I think it's something that actually might receive bipartisan support if that's possible at all.
That's a novel idea.
Yes, it is.
All right, gentlemen, sit tight. We're just getting warmed up. We'll have much more on the Equifax data breach right after we check the first alert weather, so stay with us.
Are you getting the most out of your Medicare plan? Are you sure? Many people with Medicare are eligible for plans that include extra benefits in addition to those found in original Medicare. Benefits like dental, vision, and prescription drug coverage. Call now to see if you're eligible to enroll. The consultation is free with no obligation to enroll. In addition to hospital and medical coverage, at no extra cost, you could also get coverage for prescription drugs, dental, hearing, vision, and more. In many areas, plans with benefits are available with $0 copays for many services, $0 monthly premiums, or $0 deductibles. That's hospital, medical, prescription drug, dental coverage, and more included in one plan with premiums that may be as low as $0 a month. Call now to see if you're eligible to enroll. The consultation is free and there's no obligation to enroll.
Call 1-800-620-2254. That's 1-800-620-2254.
Do you worry about going to the dentist? What I really mean is, do you worry about how expensive going to the dentist can be? After all, dental bills can be pretty scary. A visit to the dentist could easily cost $1,000, $2,000 or more. Well, relax. The Carefree Dental Card is now available in your area. Call the number on your screen and we'll send your actual card at no cost today. With the Carefree Dental Card, you go to the dentist whenever you need and you instantly pay a lot less. Call the number on your screen and we'll send your card with your name on it. Activate your card and you can start using it immediately. You can even see the dentist the same day. From exams and cleanings to more expensive procedures like crowns, dentures, even braces, they're all included with the Carefree Dental Card. Just show your card, save your money. Say you go to the dentist today without any card and your bill is, well, ouch. Wait a minute, let's try that again. You go to the dentist today and you show your Carefree Dental Card. You save $525. Now that's much better. The Carefree Dental Card is just $15.95 a month. Just $15.95 a month and everyone in your household can use the same card. So call now and make going to the dentist carefree.
Call 1-800-976-6335 now to receive your Carefree Dental Card and free plan information. Plus, see how you can also receive vision and pharmacy benefits at no additional cost. Call 1-800-976-6335. That's 1-800-976-6335.
Our conversation on the Equifax data breach continues right after we get a check on the first alert forecast with meteorologist Bob Harris. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. 52 days to go before the official end, and there it is. Ophelia, the next storm that has developed way out there in the Atlantic. We've had 9 consecutive hurricanes, 15 named storms, and 5 major hurricanes thus far. It ranks, if the season were to end today, as the 9th most active hurricane season out of the top 10. 2005, we actually had more hurricanes and major storms as well in 2005. That ranks number 2. A very active season thus far. And we have another one, as I said, today. Now, speaking of hurricanes, there's a hurricane relief concert going on at Payne Park Auditorium. That'll happen Wednesday night from 7 to 10. $10 donation. All the money, 100% of the proceeds goes to benefit the folks who are still suffering there in Puerto Rico. So come on out, help them. There'll be some food on hand. You can buy some of that as well. If you bring a solar-powered flashlight, that will also count as admission, or a blow-up mattress. They need those desperately down there into Puerto Rico. You can see the rain falling now, some scattered shower activity. Not a lot of rainfall going on here as a result of some drier air that has moved in, and that dry air will stick around too throughout the entire week. And then we'll see another little tropical wave move in and bring us a better chance for showers over the weekend. We've had a few brief showers around over parts of Manatee and Sarasota counties earlier. In fact, near Bayshore Gardens had some rain. We had some rain near Parrish, Braden, Palmetto, all the way down to Northport and Inglewood. All that now is mainly offshore, although there's still some light rain occurring now near I-75 and State Road 70, and some bigger storms up in Pinellas County. 83 right now. We have partly cloudy skies. The dew point's way up there. It's 78, and that makes it feel a lot warmer out there to the high dew point temperature. The humidity at 85%. The high today was above average at 89 degrees. Our normal high at 86. The record high 94 set back in 1919. No rainfall officially at the airport. We've only had 0.08 of an inch of rainfall so far for the month of October. Well above average, though, for the year, over 14 inches. Forecast for Tuesday, not calling for much rainfall at all. Less than 20% chance for a shower or two late in the day, so even less tomorrow. And then it stays that way through Wednesday, Thursday, and even into Friday. Well, out in the Atlantic, we are watching a storm form now. This is Ophelia, which is heading to the south, and eventually will head off to the east in time. It's having no impact on any land area at this time, and doesn't appear to be doing so either in its future for the next 5 days. Top winds are at 45 miles an hour. Expected to become a hurricane, though, as it makes its way off to the northeast. So it just gives you a little indication that water temperatures are still warm enough, even in the central Atlantic, for storms to develop at this time. It's still very warm in the Caribbean, despite the fact that we saw Nate move through the Caribbean. 35, though, cold in Denver. We're waiting for this cold air to sweep through here and chill us out, but that isn't going to happen. This front's going to pull up short and eventually fade away over the southeast United States. It'll cool a lot of folks off in places like Arkansas and also Missouri and Illinois and Indiana, but not for us, unfortunately. East winds turn to the north tomorrow at 10 knots, and seas will be running 2 to 3 feet with a light chop out there. Water temperature at 86 degrees, still very warm, and the UV index will be high tomorrow at 10. Just had sunset. Sunrise will be at 7:28. The forecast tonight, partly cloudy, a few isolated showers winding down here quickly, 75 for a low. And then tomorrow, look for only a slight chance for a late day shower. It will be hot, high near 90 and an east wind at 10. The extended forecast calling for above average temperatures right through the weekend and better chances for some storms to move in over the weekend due to a tropical wave that'll move on through. Al will be back with his guests right after this. Stick around.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get debt-free now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-685-6422, 800-685-6422.
You studied hard, went to college, and achieved your dream, but it turned into a financial nightmare. If you have federal student loans and you'd like to reduce your payments, get more time, or have your loans completely eliminated, then we have good news. With one call to Student Loan Relief Services, you can find support and guidance. We've already helped thousands of people, and we can help you too. If you have $10,000 or more in federal student loans, you can qualify for payment extensions, payment reductions, or you may qualify to have your federal student loan completely forgiven. Call Student Loan Relief Services now to find out about your options. Take control of your finances and get out from under this burden. One of our student loan experts has the answers to your questions and great solutions to ease your financial burden. We're here for you. Call Student Loan Relief Services now.
Call 800-759-0203, 800-759-0203.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes, B, console her,
don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Welcome back. We're talking about the Equifax data breach, and joining us to talk about what this means to all of us are Jeff Birnbach, Managing Director of Sarasota-based Silent, an internationally recognized cybersecurity firm, Shane Hartman, a cybersecurity specialist and adjunct professor at USF Sarasota Manatee, and Jerry Zivick, our own ABC7 consumer watchdog. So again, Jeff and Shane, how did Equifax become aware that they had a breach?
Well, corporations know what, or should know what assets that they have, meaning what kind of software packages that they have, and they subscribe to news feeds or services that tell them about those type of vulnerabilities or things that are available and what they should do for them.
All right, so the government did not go to Equifax and say, you are susceptible personally to a special kind of breach.
Yeah, no, they didn't reach out to them specifically. They put out a cert notice, is what we call it in the industry, which is just that, as Shane said, it's a news feed that says someone's identified this particular vulnerability, you should be on the lookout for this. Now, it's also interesting to note that when the government puts out a notice about a vulnerability, the bad guys take notice of it too. So now, to some extent, the clock starts. Now, everybody's been put on notice that this is a vulnerability. The bad guys are going to try to exploit it, and the good guys should be trying to patch around it.
How long does that usually take?
In terms of patching? A proper patch cycle actually requires you to do some testing before you actually deploy the patch in a live environment. So in some cases it may be a matter of hours, in other cases it could be a matter of days or even weeks.
And Shane, is there an average amount of time between when a company or an organization is breached and when they detect that they've been breached?
Yeah, it can be, there's various numbers there, but it could be anywhere from 2 months to 6 months or longer, depending on the vulnerability that's been exploited. If it's something that flies underneath the radar and even they don't know about to look for it, then they're not going to discover it for a very long period of time, where other ones, scanners will eventually pick that up and let them know that they've already been.
Jerry, from what we reported, amongst the information that hackers could get on 145 million Americans are Social Security numbers, driver's license numbers, dates of birth, that kind of thing. What kind of damage can that cause?
Well, actually, I'm thinking it might be the tip of the iceberg. I just read a report today that the Michigan Attorney General has identified almost 3 million more people that were exposed in this Equifax hack. Now, I'm also curious to know what's going on with TransUnion and Experian, what they're doing. But you're going to have somebody 15, 20 years from now taking out a mortgage in your name, trying to get a car loan in your name. Just like, you know, we get up in the morning, we wash our face, we brush our teeth, we're going to have to check our credit. It's part of our daily life now.
Now, you know, what we have heard is that you get free credit reporting, you should do a credit freeze. But what are the, you know, for your average consumer who finds themselves hacked and compromised, you know, what is their legal ability to get recourse?
Okay, well, there's a potpourri of potential legal remedies here, but probably the easiest one, the path of least resistance for the consumer, everybody's going to be part of a class action lawsuit that will be filed against Equifax, and there's a number of lawsuits that have been filed. You know, for you to go it alone, you have to actually prove that Equifax actually caused your damages, and that's a very tough bar to meet. So everybody will be part of a class action, and as we all know, they're not very satisfying at the end of the day and for the consumer in terms of what they get.
But I've also heard that Equifax may not be able to survive this.
Well, according to the government agencies, can fine Equifax up to $1,000 for each potential problem. So if you do the math, it would put them out of business. But historically, the settlements have been far less. Like the Target settlement was like only $13 million. So
Jerry raises an interesting point. What about the other credit reporting agencies? Do we know if they have been compromised in any way?
They have in the past, in different ways. In 2012, I believe Experian was, they weren't really breached so much as they allowed people to come in and mine their data, and it turned out it was a nefarious entity. But that doesn't mean that's the end of it.
And Jeff, what is the most common way that corporations and organizations are being breached these days?
Well, it's interesting because one of the things we're seeing is actually very low tech. That's what we call spear phishing, where someone is sent an email under some guise or context, and they're led to open it or open the attachment. For instance, if you're in accounting and someone sends you an email that says, I'm trying to get this bill paid, would you please help me? It's that person's job to help. So naturally they're inclined to go ahead and try to do good, and they'll end up clicking on that email and downloading a malicious payload onto their network.
Now, we're all getting these days increasingly a number of emails that are obviously phishing attempts, whether it's from a bank or any kind of organization. I've heard about from Dropbox, we're getting this in our personal lives and our business lives, and I'm wondering why these are even getting through both corporate and commercial and web systems.
They get through because it's just like an arms race. Every time you come up with a different way to block it, they come up with a different way to get around it. They'll change the subject line, they'll make it an image, they'll turn it into a document, they'll do something to try to get around that particular element that they know you put into place, and then they get in again.
And many times, unfortunately, it is human error of somebody punching that button and returning that email. We all know what happened during the election. John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign chair, hit the reply button, and boom, he was infiltrated.
It doesn't take much. And a lot of times these malicious payloads will do different things. Some will exfiltrate credentials, some will open what they call a rat or a back door. So there's a number of different things that attackers are doing to gain entry into various networks and systems.
Now, Jerry, you basically said there are a number of things that you could and should be doing right now, including the credit freeze, including filing your income taxes as soon as you get your W-2s. Is there anything else that just the normal person at home watching this right now should be doing?
Well, I'm not a security person. I have a question though. So if we all have this virus software on our computers, does that do any good for us?
You're almost laughing at that.
Yeah.
Again, it's back to the arms race type of thing. Antivirus is just one step of the equation. It's situational awareness. For corporations, it's knowing what they have inside there that could be exploited. It's a series of things. It's not antivirus is the end-all and be-all, because they're going to find a way to get past it. Otherwise, you wouldn't get updates every month.
Jeff, you said that more and more companies are becoming aware of this, but they're still reactive and more than proactive. I mean, are they getting with the program here in terms of realizing that it's more cost-effective to stop this from happening if they can, rather than what could happen if they react to it?
Yeah, I think they are, and I think it's happening at senior levels. We're seeing more boards of directors starting to pay attention to these types of things. We're seeing more top-down budgets being put together that give the resources necessary in the various organizations. But at the same time, I have to say, we're seeing people become desensitized. At this point, no one's really all that concerned, really, about the Equifax breach from a day-to-day perspective, because their information has been compromised so many other places, they feel.
And we're talking about the corporate world with Equifax, but I would imagine that the vulnerability is also there in terms of, our colleges and universities and our government. And we've heard stories about whether it's the CIA or the DOD also being compromised. From that level, is there increased cyber protection?
I don't know if you'd say increased cyber protection. There's awareness in different levels. Universities tend to be more open, although I've explained before that they tend to separate them out to a certain degree. But the cybersecurity programs that we have in place, we're trying to teach those students who will become your employees in the not-so-distant future what to look for, what to be aware of, and how to actually mitigate it.
Okay, we have to take a quick break, and we'll return for final thoughts in a moment.
We asked our customers, why is Consumer Cellular your choice in wireless?
Consumer Cellular helps me save money. It's simple and easy.
It is reliable.
I like the fact that there are no contracts.
By moving to Consumer Cellular, my cost is 50% less than it was.
They fit the plan to you.
I have everything I want with Consumer Cellular.
Their customer service is fabulous.
Customers are their #1 priority.
I really feel like they take care of me.
We're proud to have received the J.D. Power Award for highest customer service 3 times in a row.
We really appreciate the AARP discount.
AARP members get exclusive discounts.
It's easy to switch. You could use your own phone and you could use your own number.
Wild horses wouldn't drag me away from Consumer Cellular.
Go with Consumer Cellular.
You're going to save a lot of money.
Switch today. It's all backed by a 30-day risk-free guarantee. Call 1-800-368-8758. Go online or visit a Target store today.
This is an important medical announcement. Bard IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who's received a Bard IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you have the Bard Recovery G2 or G2 Express filter, you are in a class of patients who should be compensated for some expenses. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential. There's no cost and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of the Bard IVC filters. Call the IVC Filter Hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now.
Call 800-329-3089. 800-329-3089.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
And our guests join us right now for final thoughts. And Jeff, I'm going to start with you. I've seen the commercials on TV telling people find out what information of yours is on the dark web. What does that actually mean?
Well, it's difficult to do, but what they're referring to is to try to see if your information is being peddled, if it's being sold, if it's on anonymous billboard sites. That's really how some large corporations are doing their intelligence gathering to see if in fact they've been breached. They're trying to see if their information is out someplace it shouldn't be.
Is that effective?
It is definitely. You need to be able to do that. We've, not me specifically, but we've seen where other things in the dark web have been brought to light, and they've managed to shut them down.
And Jerry, so what are you telling people to do today? And are there, there are a lot of us that we won't be affected today, but that we may well be affected tomorrow. And how are you to know whether it's due to Equifax or the breaching of the Target database or any other?
Well, I don't think you'll ever be able to meet a legal standard to prove that it's Equifax, Target, Home Depot, whoever's been the hack du jour. I think one of the things I think we need to do and we need to be very aware of is we need to be changing our passwords on a regular basis. We were talking about password strength in the green room. Password, I think you guys said, should be like 14 characters, 14 letters long, a character, a symbol, things like that.
The problem with that, Jerry, is that we have all so many passwords that we all have to change so often. It's very hard for people to keep it straight.
I agree with you. We rail about it at home all the time. One of the things you can try and do is you can try and go to pay cash, to sort of limit yourself, have one or two charge cards. I actually, for myself, I have like different bank accounts for different things, and they're not tied together electronically ever, just to try and limit the damage if and when it ever comes.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there, gentlemen. Thank you. But before we go, we want to hear from you about your thoughts about last week's show in Washington. Gun control. Last Sunday, 58 people were killed in Las Vegas by a madman who owned dozens of automatic weapons that appeared to be purchased legally. President Trump traveled to Las Vegas last Wednesday to meet with local government, law enforcement, and victims from the shooting. The president didn't want to discuss gun laws so close to the tragedy, but if not now, when? We went to Facebook to ask you your thoughts about this subject, and here's what some of you have to say. Tommy says, guns don't kill people. Guns cannot think. People kill people by whatever means possible, like airplanes, or did you forget? Melanie responds, when airplanes kill people, everyone was forced to go through TSA and remove their shoes and throw out liquids. Guns have killed many more people, and nothing has been done. Joan says, for decades, we, the people, legislators, reporters, citizens, have politely asked for the gun control issue to be addressed and are told time and time again, this is not the time. I am tired of being polite, and I'm now angry. Well, if you'd like to join the conversation about tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/mysuncoast.com.abc7. And FYI, you can watch past discussions. They're on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. We want to thank all our guests for being here tonight. Jeff Birnbach is Managing Director of Sarasota-based Silent, an internationally recognized cybersecurity firm. Shane Hartman, a cybersecurity specialist and adjunct professor at USF Sarasota Manatee, and Jerry Zivick, our own ABC7 consumer watchdog. When we return, we'll have a final look at your first alert weather, plus a U.S. Senator has some strong words for President Trump. What was said and what did the president tweet back? Stay with us.
This is an important medical announcement. Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to uncontrollable bleeding and even death. If you've been prescribed one of these drugs and have experienced these dangerous side effects, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. Studies show that Pradaxa can cause more heart attacks than warfarin, and other countries have already issued safety warnings against this drug. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. The call is confidential. There's no cost, and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to Pradaxa victims, and thousands of Xarelto victims are filing their legal cases. Call the Drug Watch hotline. If you or a loved one used Xarelto or Pradaxa and experienced uncontrollable bleeding, brain hemorrhage, or even death, you must call now.
Call 800-793-6055. 800-793-6055.
Mom, thank God you're going to be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm going to call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-975-0536. That's 1-800-975-0536.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now let's get a final check on your first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Al. We've had a few brief showers around. You got to look at this rain. Some places not even making it to the ground, known as virga, as it evaporates before it reaches the ground. And they were very isolated today. It'll be less action tomorrow. Cindy Desmond, appreciate that photo near Clark Road in Sarasota. Manway's a webcam showing another gorgeous sunset tonight with some beautiful colors. Right around 7:15 it occurred, but still after effects are sometimes brilliant. And you see that nice pink and orange right there as you see for October, right? This is a National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and Titan radar picture showing some rainfall down to our south. Not much going on here right now. It's fairly quiet. You can see that rainfall again moving off to the west pretty quickly at around 10 to 15 miles an hour. Heavier storms up near Pinellas County and also near Hillsborough, but not a lot going on here. And that's the way it will stay tonight and throughout most of this week as a result of some drier air that has moved on in. And we're expecting one or two brief showers here right along the coastline. Not much going on. All that false echoes now over Manatee County. Well, currently we have a few clouds around. It's 83 degrees and the dew point temperature is way up there. That's midsummer-like, 78 degrees and a wind out of the north-northwest at 6 miles an hour. The pressure 2995. Forecast tomorrow calling for upper 80s to near 90 degrees, and that's going to be warm, well above average. The average high temperature for this time of year, 86. That's right, 86 degrees. Our normal low is 70, and we're expecting mid-70s for lows over the upcoming morning. So we'll have to wait till fall. Now, typically it's the second week into October. We start to see a pretty strong cold front move through. Well, it doesn't appear that's going to happen. Probably the third week this particular season. Here is again the 15th named storm of the season. This is Ophelia, way out there in the Atlantic. The good news on it is having no impact on any land area right now, and it doesn't appear that it will do so. This is an interesting area, interesting feature. Some of the long-range models indicate that this will continue to move off to the west. Now, there's a lot of dry air here out ahead of this. And what to keep an eye on it, though, some pretty big flare-up of storms there just northeast of Puerto Rico in this unusual hurricane season. Everything bears watching out there until the water temperature goes below 80 degrees everywhere. Well, here's the latest. Top winds are at 45 miles an hour. It's moving to the northeast, but eventually expected to move to the southeast and then to the east and become a hurricane in time. And it would be the 10th consecutive hurricane, tying the old all-time record if this happens, and we think it will do so. Well, temperatures fall-like and winter-like in Denver. They had some snowfall over the weekend in the central and northern Rockies. Temperatures much warmer in the nation's capital. Atlanta at 75, 79 in St. Louis, 90 in Dallas at this hour, and temperatures here along the coast into the low 80s. Well, for boaters tomorrow, expect a light chop on the bays and inland waters. Seas running 2 to 3 feet. We'll have east winds switching around to the north at 10 knots, so pretty good boating weather and no real threat of any significant storms out there. The UV index will stay high to 10 tomorrow, and we're expecting lots of sunshine. The water temperature still very warm, 86 degrees out there. And boy, over the weekend, you could feel that heat still around. Sunset at 7:07 tomorrow. Sunrise will be at 7:28. The next low tide at 9:41. Still a 20% chance for an isolated shower, but generally most areas staying dry tonight. 75 for your low. Tomorrow, the rain chance at 20%, a high near 90. East winds at 10. We may see a little breeze develop in the afternoon out of the west with that sea breeze kind of cranking in. And look at this. It stays real nice all the way through the work week. Then, unfortunately, the weekend approaches and the rain chances increasing. Again, we'll have much more on this coming up at 11 o'clock tonight. Alan will be back with primetime headlines right after this. Stick around.
At Humana, we believe great things are ahead of you when you start with healthy. And part of staying healthy means choosing the right Medicare plan. Humana can help. With Original Medicare, you're covered for hospital stays and doctor office visits when you're sick, but keep in mind you'll have to pay a deductible for each. A Medicare supplement plan can cover your deductibles and coinsurance, but you may pay higher premiums than you do with other plans, and prescription drug coverage isn't included. But with an all-in-one Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you could get all that coverage plus Part D prescription drug benefits, all for an affordable monthly plan premium, and in some areas, no plan premium. It's all described in this free book and DVD. Call for yours and discover how an all-in-one Medicare Advantage plan from Humana could save you money. Call 1-855-395-9803. That's 1-855-395-9803 now.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get Debt-Free Now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-628-1251. 800-628-1251.
Mark Zupan, part of the U.S. Paralympic rugby team. In my game, movement is everything. I get frustrated when my move is blocked, especially when that guy has no right to be there, even just for a minute. I love a challenge, but I don't like to play this game every day.
A message from the United Spinal Association.
Checking primetime headlines, a war of words between the president and retiring Tennessee Republican Senator Bob Corker. Party infighting not often on the public display. ABC's Serena Marshall reports from Washington.
It was a presidential slam, not often said by the opposing party, let alone within party rank and file. Tennessee Senator Bob Corker in an interview with the New York Times, saying President Trump treats the office like a reality show and is so reckless the nation could be on the path to World War III. In several instances, he's hurt us as it relates to negotiations that were underway by tweeting things out, Corker said. The chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, who's not seeking re-election, candid in his rebuke of the president. It all began last week with this comment.
Secretary Mattis and Chief of Staff Kelly are those people that help separate our country from chaos.
Leading the president to punch back on Twitter, saying Corker begged me to endorse him for re-election. I said no, and he dropped out, said he could not win without my endorsement, adding he didn't have the guts to run. In the no-holds-barred Twitter war, Corker tweeting out, "It's a shame the White House has become an adult daycare center. Someone obviously missed their shift this morning." Just last year, Corker campaigned for the president.
I wasn't going to say anything. I just came to visit.
But overnight in that New York Times interview, a frank admission, saying, "I know for a fact that every single day at the White House, it's a situation of trying to contain him."
Senator Corker says he's not alone. Nearly every Republican in the Senate shares his concerns about the president. And the feud comes at a time when his vote could be critical not just to tax reform, but deciding the fate of the Iran nuclear deal. Serena Marshall, ABC News, Washington.
Vice President Pence's brief trip to an NFL game Sunday cost the taxpayer a pretty penny. The trip ran nearly $243,000 for just on-air costs alone. It does not include advanced personnel, Secret Service, or support on the ground. The vice president flew from Las Vegas to Indiana to attend Sunday's game between the Indianapolis Colts and San Francisco 49ers, but he left abruptly because some of the players knelt during the national anthem. Pence tweeted he didn't want to dignify the protest. President Trump said he asked Pence to leave the game if there was a demonstration and tweeted that he was proud of him for doing so. But it appears Pence had planned his premature exit in advance. Journalists traveling with the vice president were told there may be an early departure from the game. There's a new twist in the controversy surrounding Donald Trump Jr.'s meeting with a Russian attorney. President Trump's oldest son met with a Russian lawyer at Trump Tower last June. An email by a Trump associate said Russia would give Trump Jr. some dirt on Hillary Clinton, but now an attorney for the Russian who was at the meeting says that was not what the meeting was about. The document suggests the main focus of the meeting was repealing U.S. sanctions imposed on Russia, and the purpose was exaggerated to get the Trump campaign's attention. The meeting remains under scrutiny by the special counsel who is looking into the Russia meddling into last year's election. In California, a fire in the Anaheim Hills is forcing thousands of people to evacuate and has now left 10 people dead. The fire started this morning and is taking out about 25 acres in about 30 minutes. Students at 2 elementary schools had to be moved out too. It is not clear what started the fire. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us, and have a good night.